The film begins in the near future, where humanity lives in a technologically advanced, dystopian society. The government requires that everyone receive an ocular implant that records everything they see. The implant provides an augmented reality head-up display to the user with information about anyone and anything they may see, as well as recording the user's view. Ads can play directly into their heads, and users can try on things in augmented reality. In this world, investigations into crimes rely on detectives reviewing this recorded video and assessing whether an alleged perpetrator is innocent or guilty. Sal Friedland, a detective with the Metropolitan Police Force, crosses paths with a young woman who appears to trigger a glitch in his ocular implant, as no data about her is retrieved. Though surprised, Sal makes his way to work. A man appears at the police station asking for his missing son. Sal informs him that he was detected in the ether, the internet, an hour ago, and questions if he wants to see it. Though hesitant, the father admits he wants to see, and Sal shares the video of the man jumping from a building. The father breaks into a sob. Another woman appears, asking about an expensive piece of jewelry that she'd misplaced in a hotel bathroom. She suspects the maid, but Sal reveals that when the maid appeared, the jewelry was already gone. Once the woman leaves, Sal's partner comments on how Sal willingly concealed the footage from moments prior, which shows the maid picking up the bracelet. But Sal replies that the maid only sold it to pay her rent, and he doesn't like the rich woman's attitude. Sal deals with another case in which the accused is accompanied by his lawyer, who insists that he shot a man in self-defense. He shot a man who was reaching for something in his pocket, which turned out to be the Bible. The lawyer insists that his client had no way of knowing what the other man was reaching for, and that his client cooperated with the authorities, even providing a recording from an infant's implant. However, Sal says that an hour ago, the client was binge drinking, and his judgment was impaired by the alcohol. The lawyer eventually agrees to discuss a plea agreement, but Sal is disturbed when he's called to investigate another murder. A man named James Cray had been shot in the head an hour ago, in his office. However, there's a block in his records. When Sal goes through Cray's implant, he sees that the victim's visual record of his death was replaced with the killer's point of view, thus hiding the killer's identity and confusing the victim before his death. Furthermore, there is no metadata of the shooter either. Detective Charles Gaddis reveals that another case from Baltimore in July suffered a similar fate of getting his point of view hacked. Charles tells him that these incidents will officially be ruled as self-killings, while the investigation resumes in private. Sal mentions the woman he saw in the morning who triggered a glitch in his implant, assuming that the two are related. Charles tells him to share the feed. At home, while enjoying with his girlfriend, Sal reviews his record of that day, only to find that every single frame of her has been mysteriously deleted. His girlfriend becomes convinced that Sal is distracted and asks him to show her what he is watching, but Sal can't. The following morning, the same anonymous woman resumes her activities. Lester Hagen tells Sal that the assassin who hacked into the footage of the victims also edited them to prolong them. Furthermore, just before his assassination, Cray had a guest at his home. Additionally, the other victim from Baltimore, Jordan Nees, had edits to his footage too. He is a music producer with an addiction problem, who erased his latest relapse. It was discovered that all the victims hired someone with the expertise to delete pieces of their visual records that were either humiliating or incriminating. Sal realizes that the last person to see Nees alive matches the record of the woman Sal saw, who managed to somehow delete her records too, making her their primary suspect. When he asks Charles for his record, Charles reveals that his record was deleted too. The two investigate the situation and realize 10 other strangers who also saw the woman had their records deleted, suggesting that the woman has an algorithm that automatically deletes her record. That day, Sal returns home to go through his memories of his dead son. He calls his ex-wife, Kristen, to inform her that today is his birthday, but Kristen tells him to stop torturing himself and her with his memory. Kristen's current husband, Conrad, also warns Sal to move on, and Kristen realizes that Sal is drunk. Sal denies drinking and ends the call, but it is clear that he's an alcoholic. Suddenly, he gets a notification about another murder and appears on the scene. In this murder case, the hacker had hacked into the point of view of two separate women simultaneously, killing them both in this way. Sal finds only a first responder at the scene, as no one else apart from the housekeeper had been there. When Sal accesses the housekeeper's logs, he finds her hallucinating a cat moments before the incident. The housekeeper describes the perpetrator in a way that brings up the anonymous woman from earlier, and suddenly, Sal realizes that there's another person in the house. The two go to confront the intruder, and the first responder is immediately shot. Sal chases the killer into a subway until his feed starts to glitch, causing him to fall down the stairs. Standing up, he tries to look for the perpetrator in the train, realizing that his feed is being manipulated in real time and almost hits an approaching train. Meanwhile, the anonymous woman is enjoying herself in a club. Back at the station, Charles tells the police officers that the women killed were a lesbian couple, one of whom was the daughter of a prominent Christian right-wing politician. She had her feed manipulated to remove her girlfriend for appearance's sake. Sal then shows his footage of how the killer managed to make optical illusions in front of him, which do not appear in his records. To catch their hacker, Sal decides to go undercover, creating a false history as a stockbroker who engages in a brief affair with a characterless woman. Using this as the pretext for the hacker's services to get this footage removed before his fiancée sees it, he posts an ad demanding hackers to remove the footage. But so far, none of the applicants match their description. One day, he makes contact with a woman who uses the handle Anon, who offers her services. Keeping cash in his pockets, he goes to meet her, while keeping Lester on standby, since Lester is not a police officer, but a freelance contractor. The woman appears, and Sal asks to have his earlier encounter deleted. She doesn't allow him to look at her and asks to go to Sal's apartment, but on the way, Sal can match the description. Anon tells Sal that she will, by her policy, only look at what he wants her to see, unless Sal crosses her. As she hacks into his memories, Lester scans her frequency. Sal guides her to the exact memory, and Anon finds it. When Sal tells her to make it look like he went to sleep last night, Anon reminds her that he called his girlfriend that night, which allows her to catch the ruse. Instead, she makes it so that it appears as though Sal spent the night alone in the apartment, though she tells him that a fixer might be able to catch those edits. Furthermore, she tells him that she will remove herself from his memory as well. When Sal questions what she will do about his memory of her, Anon points a gun at him and tells him to turn around. The moment Sal hears a gunshot, however, Anon has disappeared, and Lester tells him that he couldn't get her identity either. Charles is disappointed and wonders if she could go into his past and discover that he's a police officer, but Sal is convinced that she won't, since it's against her principles. Charles shows the reinforcements they've received, including tech specialists. Together, they can get into Anon's feed, but cannot find anything about her past. They see her apartment and notice that her gun matches that of the assassin. Anon is careful where she looks, not giving many clues about her location, and goes through her bedtime routine before jumping into her bed. They notice her enter the ether by bypassing all the protocols, and she's seeing through the eyes of Jesper Nix, a money-laundering art dealer who is dealing with Max Keener, a known forger purchasing a forged painting. Anon removes this conversation from Jesper's memory, replacing it with a memory where Jesper discovers this piece of art. Sal grows fascinated with the woman. Meanwhile, the police officers watch her feed all night, unable to discover her location as she refuses to leave her room and has only analog devices in her apartment. Once she looks out the window, however, Anon starts a new chain of proxies, kicking out the officers from her feed, though she did not know that the police were eavesdropping on her. That same day, they learn that Jesper has died in much the same way. The commissioner, Joseph Koenig, himself arrives at the station, telling the detectives that this case is a priority now, since the hacker has opened up possibilities of crimes due to her anonymity. He believes that this isn't a single case, but a ring of individuals involved who anonymize themselves to perform their crimes. To get a hold of her chain of proxies again, Charles tells Sal to return undercover. Though Sal says that his recent activities might blow his cover, Charles reminds Sal of Anon's policy of not looking anywhere else, but they will patch his memory nonetheless. Though Sal's life is in danger, he agrees to take the job. Sal pretends to have bought drugs from someone and hires Anon to remove the memory. Meanwhile, Lester waits outside to catch up on her proxies. Anon believes that Sal did it as an excuse to see her and asks why he didn't do the powder. Sal says he's waiting for an occasion, but she tells him to try a few lines while she erases his memory and does the deed with him. Sal questions why she does this and whether she has an agenda, but Anon says he's got the wrong girl. Sal continues to probe into her past, and though Anon comments that he asks a lot of questions, she eventually reveals that she started burning her digital footprint when she was 18 and didn't stop until she had replaced everything with analog devices. While they're doing the lines, Anon points her gun at him, saying he doesn't look like the kind of person to have a girlfriend. Just as Sal pushes her gun away, Anon kisses him, and the two develop a personal relationship. She goes through his memories to delete this relationship, only to discover Sal's true identity. She loads her gun and flees. Sal hears a gunshot, and when he goes outside, finds Sal dead, and a call from Anon. She tells him that Lester died because of him, and that he should not look at her again. Charles arrives at the scene, shocked at the situation, and tells Sal to go home and rest. Sal returns home, goes through memories of his son, and sits down to drink. Suddenly he gets a message from Anon, who begins to torture Sal for his betrayal, tormenting him with hallucinations and worst memories from his past. He spends the night in this torment, and in the morning he finds his memories of his son deleted. He calls Kristen to ask her to send him any picture of their son, but she finds them deleted as well. Sal walks outside, plagued by the hallucinations, and starts shooting randomly until his neighbor brings him to his senses. He is about to walk towards an elevator, only to find nothing beneath. While out driving, his implant tells him that all is clear, but when Sal drives, he crashes his car in a busy intersection. He meets Charles to inform him about his mental situation, who tells him that the police are hiring more hackers to solve this case, and Sal should rest. Suddenly, a detective arrives to inform him that there's a warrant out on Sal because his neighbor has turned up dead with a bullet from Sal's gun in him. They go through his memories, only to find Sal shooting the gun, though Sal denies it and demands an autopsy report. Though the police discovered a bullet from Sal's 9mm, the wound is not that of a 9mm gun, but they reject his explanation, order him off the case, and place him under house arrest with constant surveillance. When Sal arrives home, his footage is being spied on by police officers, and he secretly places his gun in his holster, goes to bed, and closes his eyes. With his eyes closed, however, Sal starts walking, giving the illusion that he's asleep, and knocks out the police officer spying on him. Sal tracks Anon to her apartment, but Anon is waiting for him. She is aware that the police officers are spying on her. Sal tells her that she is being investigated for multiple murders. She reveals that she already knows this, and that she is being framed by another hacker with a similar skill set. Anon shows Sal her video record of the second operation, in which Lester was killed, seeming to prove that she is innocent because she saw him dead when she was fleeing. When Sal questions whether this is her authentic record or forged, she says she can't confirm or deny it, but the other hacker might already be seeing through his eyes or hers, meaning neither of them is safe anymore. After showing Sal her records, she flees again. Charles arrives at the scene to confront him about his behavior, but Sal tries to convince him that there's another killer involved. Charles believes Sal has become too personally involved, and suspends him from active duty. While he's sitting in his apartment, Sal's feed is being manipulated by someone this time, and the officers see him doing nothing. Meanwhile, Anon establishes contact with Sal, warning him that someone is coming for him, and makes her way towards him. Suddenly, Sal's point of view gets hacked, and the actual killer attempts to send him to heaven. Anon can stop him, but Sal is wounded and incapacitated. The assassin is revealed to be Cyrus, one of the technical experts from the police department. Cyrus reveals that he has been obsessed with Anon for years. He deleted anyone who had sex with her out of jealousy, erased every trace of her, even people's memories, and was responsible for keeping her hidden from the police. When Cyrus is about to shoot Sal, Anon tells him to erase everything and disappear with her. But Cyrus is adamant about shooting Sal, and Sal shoots back, causing Cyrus to run away. Sal chases, and during a physical altercation between Cyrus and Anon, Sal draws his weapon but realizes that Cyrus is seeing what he sees in real time. To defeat this advantage, Sal fires blindly towards Cyrus, successfully killing him. After the event, Anon walks out. The commissioner questions why Charles hired someone who has no record, but Charles says that the commissioner recommended him. They realize that Cyrus hacked their systems to make it appear so. When he asks about the girl, however, Sal walks away. His memories of his son are returned. Anon meets Sal and apologizes for putting his life at risk to catch the hacker. When Sal asks how she hides herself, Anon reveals that she can bypass the vast surveillance network by disseminating her records in microsecond slices throughout everyone else in the network, rendering her untraceable. When Sal asks her why she is so desperate to hide her identity, suggesting that it brings her more attention, she tells him that her quest for anonymity is not because she has something to hide, but merely because she does not want to share herself with the world. She walks away and erases herself, and the movie ends.